Our guest inherited a drawing from her aunt Eudora Welty, a renowned Southern writer and Pulitzer Prize winner. The drawing was selected by the guest and her husband while going through Eudora's belongings. Initially, the drawing hung in their son's bedroom, but was later stored under the bed due to the lack of space. Upon deciding to visit Antiques Roadshow, the guest researched the artist and
He was a German artist known for his caricatures. He fled Germany in 1933 and came to the United States.
The artist, George Grosz, was a German caricaturist who fled Germany in 1933 and came to the United States. The appraiser, a fan of Grosz, confirmed his background, noting Grosz's involvement with the Dadists and
involved with the movement called the Dadists. In 1932, he was offered a job in New York teaching at the Art Students League.
Grosz moved to the U.S. to teach at the Art Students League in New York and continued his career there. The drawing is in charcoal, showcasing Grosz's style, and is estimated to be worth
I'm at an auction estimate of around about $10,000 to $15,000.
It was under my bed.
Yes, under your bed, indeed.
It will not go back under the
Good.
bed.
Does that?
The guest brought a classic cell from Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, 1938, featuring Dopey, signed by Walt Disney himself. The guest's great-aunt, Daisy Beck, was Walt Disney's schoolteacher and encouraged his love of art. Disney would visit Daisy whenever he was in Kansas City and had a special reverence for her. Disney rarely signed items, making this cell particularly special.
Los Angeles in the early 30s, when he was still called Walter Disney. Dewey Duck, one of Donald Duck's nephews.
The cell was a gouache on celluloid and was in excellent condition with no cracks or damage. Animation cells were not meant to be preserved, so the fact that this one had survived in good condition was remarkable. Disney may have named his character Daisy, Donald's friend, as an homage to the guest's great-aunt. Disney's signature added a magical boost to the cell's value, which was estimated at
Well, I think an auction price. In today's market, this cell in this condition would bring about $8,000 to $12,000.
Whoa.
Our guest inherited this white jade pendant from her husband's mother. She knows it's a white jade carving, but has no idea where it came from, as
White jade carving, I know not much other than that. We inherited it from my husband's mother.
they once tried to sell it at an estate sale, where it was appraised at $1,200 but did not sell.
Jade carving, I know not much other than that. We inherited it from my husband's mother.
The appraiser reveals it's an 18th century jade pendant made of very pure white nephrite with high translucency, likely made during the Quinlong reign, 1735 to 1796. It features fine carvings with undulating waves and
between the scrolling that's there, and it incorporates all sorts of animal elements. There's birds' heads here, there's an occasional hoof coming out of it.
It's a larger piece than typical for this style and would have been hung from a belt. At auction, the appraiser estimates its value to be at
This would probably sell for between $15,000 to $20,000.
That's better than $1,200.
Exactly.
The appraiser notes it's a good jade piece and there is very little of it on the market right now. The guest inherited a collection of Margaret DePata jewelry pieces from her parents, including an engagement ring from 1949.
That they purchased all of them at that time, I'm not sure.
These are examples of a rebel.
Margaret DePata was a pioneering American studio jeweler and mid-century modernist who rebelled against mass-produced jewelry. She was the leader of the West Coast group of studio jewelers and started making jewelry in the 1930s, opening her workshop in 1935. DePata's technique was called constructivism, and she was known for her clean lines, minimalist approach, and use of unconventional materials like sterling, wood, and semi-precious stones. These pieces were iconic examples of DePata's work, featuring strong, clean lines and interesting stones like rutilated quartz, chalcedony, and freshwater pearls.
DePata, and then we have the capital M with the little dot over the M. Her technique was called constructivism. She just pared it down to the essence of what jewelry should be.
The pieces were authentic DePata works, marked with her signature, DePata, and capital M with a dot. In the world of high-end jewelry, these high-in-demand authentic Tapata pieces were estimated at
Level, this brooch would be $3,000. The pin and earrings would be $2,500. The ring by itself is $1,500.
Oh my.
These books were owned by the guest's great-grandmother. The set consists of 2 botanical illustration volumes titled Hortus Aestheticenus, meaning the Garden of Ystad. In the early 17th century, the Bishop of Ystad created a garden with plants from around the world and
hired a pharmacist from Nuremberg named Basilius Besler to create these volumes to record his holdings in his comprehensive garden.
Besler, along with 10 engravers, spent 16 years producing these volumes. The books contain over 1,000 plant illustrations of 600 different species with 367 plates in total. Published in 1613, these books are prized for their aesthetic qualities. Only 300 uncolored copies were produced, with some hand-colored for noblemen. Despite minor repairs, the books are in excellent original condition, making them very rare. A complete set like this is valued at a price of
A set like this, if it were to be offered at an auction today, would probably have a value of $250,000 to $350,000. Wow.
The guest brought the Mahalika piece his grandfather acquired on a trip to the Illinois and Missouri area in the late 1960s or early 1970s. The guest's grandparents were amateur porcelain and glass collectors and likely paid a significant amount for the piece, possibly a few $100s. The piece was identified as Mahalika, a type of pottery decorated with bright colors, popular in the late 19th century. Mahalika was initially manufactured in England and the US, but later in Europe, particularly Germany, France, and Bohemia as well. The piece was made likely in Germany or Bohemia, due to its pale color palette and texture. The piece was dated to the 1880s or 1890s and featured an American Indian design, likely made for the American market.
Amazing. One interesting aspect of this is it's an American Indian made in the continent of Europe.
That's what I was going to ask you about. That's odd. I figured it probably was made here just because it's an Indian.
It had no damage, which was remarkable given the fragility of Mahalika. Due to its great subject matter, size, condition, and crossover collectability, the Mahalika was appraised at
A retail price on this would be somewhere in the $1,500 to $2,000 range.
The appraiser begins by noting that there are exceptions to every rule, highlighting a pair of chairs by Terence Rockstrom Gibbings as an example. The appraiser explains that while most of the 1960s design trends focused on Scandinavian modernism and
So do you see yourself as an exception to a rule, I wonder?
Absolutely, always. And I love that you brought in the Greek end of it, because that's what I see when I see these, the old ancient Greeks, the beautiful, beautiful line.
Our guest agrees, saying they see the influence of ancient Greek design in the chair's lines. The appraiser elaborates on the klizmos style, known for its sharp curves and elegant lines, which were unusual for the time. Terence Rockstrom Gibbings was a prominent American interior designer in the 1930s and 40s.
Do you know, I think I might actually.
Yeah, they're
it's quite
wonderful.
warm out here.
Exactly.
They're very, very comfortable.
Aren't
that
they?
I can attest to. Absolutely.
And this is really comfortable. This
So was it the comfort or the fact that they're so elegant that made
The chairs, made of walnut and designed in 1968, and they were produced by the company Sir Regis. Our guest confirms that the chairs are very comfortable to sit in. The appraiser appreciates the combination of comfort and elegance in the chairs. Our guest explains they acquired the chairs as part payment for a job, along with other furniture, and mentions they have 4 chairs in total. The appraiser estimates that each chair is worth about
But I think they're worth about £4,000.
Well, so they're still £4,000 each.
You've got it.
Each.
£16,000 worth of chairs.
I'll take that. That's amazing. Thank you so much. That's really, really good.
The guest presented a family heirloom loaded with history. This is a Chippendale desk from the 1780s. Although it's not highly valuable due to its present condition, its history makes it special.
Papers. It had often money in it, and all those things were locked inside. Let's start by opening this lid. You know, these are called loppers?
Loppers?
L-O-P-E-R. You do slide it out and it holds up things. So
Yeah.
used to have a brass lock.
Inside the desk is a letter written by the guest's great-grandaunt in 1913. The desk features beautiful inlays on the side and magnificent tulips used as repairs to join the case sides.
I use my pointer to open this. Do you know that there's something in here?
No.
You've had it how many years?
I've had it about 7 years.
And you used to visit it and your mom, you grew up with it?
My mom grew up with it, sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
she never showed you this. Watch this.
It's as much a historical document as it is a piece of furniture. Despite its feet being cut off and the brass replaced, this historical desk still has a worth of.
And the value at auction would be $2,000 to $3,000 in this market. That would be the estimate on it.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
A Carnegie Hall program and ticket stub made their way to the show, originally belonging to the guest's aunt, a huge Beatles fan. The program is from the 1964 Carnegie Hall visit by the Beatles, an English rock band formed in Liverpool. These items are from their first visit to America during the famous Ed Sullivan Show.
They did 2 shows for 5,800 people. When they went on and came back to America and did Shea Stadium, they had 55,000 people.
Fascinatingly, there were few tickets and many people at the show.
American did Shea Stadium, they had 55,000 people. Beatles fans love collecting ticket stubs.
It's notable for Beatles fans to collect ticket stubs, which is why we have one today. At auction, these items from the Beatles show would sell for.
If I was going to place this as a set up at auction, I would estimate it somewhere between $3,000 and $4,000.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Our guest is thrilled, expressing that the appraisal has made their day. The appraiser introduces 3 figures by Joseph Lorenzo, noting their large scale compared to typical pieces by the artist. Our guest explains they started collecting Lorenzo figures 20 years ago, beginning with a Scottish dancer. They expanded their collection to about 15 or 16 figures, motivated by their 2 children. The appraiser highlights 3 significant artists of the period: Ferdinand Priest, Dmitri Chabaraz, and Joseph Lorenzo. Lorenzo is praised for his fluid forms, beautiful household hair, and great movement, particularly evident in these figures. The appraiser emphasizes the Art Deco green onyx bases of the figures, which enhance their appeal and value. The appraiser metaphorically compares the figures to beauty pageant winners: Miss United Kingdom, Miss World, and Miss Universe.
The patination, the color, this to me just screams as good as the day it was made.
The appraiser updates the guest on the current market, noting a strong interest in Lorenzo's work over the past 20 years. Despite some minor wear, figures of this size are estimated to be worth
Are going to be easily 5,000 to 8,000, 6,000 to 8,000 pounds each.
Yeah, good.
Have you ever encountered a timepiece that embodies both style and functionality? Fortunately, showcased on the show is a vintage lighthouse clock purchased by this guest at a thrift store in California. This clock was beautifully crafted in 1880 by André Romain Guillemette, a French artisan who specialized in manufacturing mystery clocks and clocks with an industrial theme.
Used, but not in the same way domestic clocks were. Maybe hundreds were made. It dates from about 1880. It's a good example of what we call automata.
An intriguing feature of this clock is its rotating top. The lighthouse is designed to rotate every 12 hours with each wind.
The top rotates as it would if it were a full-size lighthouse, this representing the beam.
It also boasts barometers and thermometers on its sides. Not many of these types of clocks were produced and are highly sought after by collectors. At auction, its value would be placed at
Value at retail for between $3,500 and $4,000.
Really?
Every day.
Talk about a good investment.
Very much so.
Oh, man.
This piece is a blast from the past, an art train model. It was showcased by the guest, who inherited it from her grandfather, a prison overseer. Her grandfather purchased this piece from a prisoner in Wethersfield, Connecticut.
A developed model. It is a very sophisticated piece, so the person who made this was really, in a way, showing off that he had tremendous woodworking skills.
The train model embodies sophistication and was crafted from 4 different types of wood. At the bottom of the piece, we can see a gearbox, which engages when the wheel is turned. Interestingly, the moving parts of the model are still functional.
They made their own shoes, and he was a shoemaker.
Which kind of gives credibility to the fact that he had access to tools.
Yeah.
And my guess is it probably took him a year to make.
The item also boasts a beautifully carved cow catcher, and the train's finish is exceptionally well preserved. The provenance of this piece is truly remarkable, and in such good condition, its estimated worth is...
In a retail environment, this would probably sell in the area of $4,500 to $6,000.
Wow.
These collections of porcelain and platters displayed on the show add a touch of elegance to a table setting. The guest acquired them from his mom's estate, and this collection was made in the Limoges region, France. At the back, we can see the Limoges trademark visible. Interestingly, these collections of items date back to circa 1900, a period when fish sets like these gained popularity.
Fish sets are not popular. Collectors do not like them very much. If they're really gorgeous like this, they will display them.
Included in the collection is a wonderfully crafted plate, a sauce boat, and a platter, all adorned with fish designs. This item's individual wouldn't be worth as much as a set. In such good condition, they would fetch an auction value of...
So for your large set, a retail price would be somewhere between $3,000 and $4,000, which is more than the sum of the parts. This is actually one of the best sets I've ever seen.
Well, good, thank you.
We are presented with an exquisite vase that was gifted to the guest by her husband's grandmother as a wedding present. This vase originated from Austria in the early 20th century. It features a richly colored glaze earthenware and boasts an Art Nouveau design. On its surface is a depiction of a lady figure in an elated pose. Over the years, items like this one have become highly sought after by collectors. At auction, this delicately made vase, with its stunning appearance, would be valued at...
I would say today, in an antique shop, it would be priced at least $2,000.
Wow.
And maybe $2,500.
Very good present then.
On display is a collection of autographed Time Cover magazines collection. This guest had been collecting the magazines over the years, and with the help of her mother, she got them all signed by very remarkable public figures.
We got several of them back.
What you have here is about, what, 170 or so?
Yeah, well, I think about 163.
163
right,
Time magazine covers.
All these magazines are dated circa 1964 to 1970, and some of the notable figures depicted on different covers include Neil Armstrong, who was an American astronaut and aeronautic engineer. In 1969, he was the first person to walk on the moon.
It just is worth only what that person's autograph is worth.
I would keep it as a...
Marc Chagall, who was a Russian-French artist. There's also a cover from an American sketch comedy television program, Rowan and Martin. At auction, this incredible collection, which holds a significant part of American history, would be valued at...
Yes.
You got to take care of it. I would insure it for no less than $12,000.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
A remarkable piece of late Victorian furniture, a chair dating to around 1885 or 1889, was presented. This chair features faceted legs, intricate turnings, a skirt adorned with gilt decorations, and a striking shell motif, all characteristic of the Victorian period's design.
We kept things that were important, and this chair was always important because it sat out in front like a sign.
Notably, it is equipped with double casters, suggesting it was meant to be displayed and easily moved. Chair's origin is tied to the guest's great-great-grandfather, Martin Lemire.
Right. And you've actually got here, you brought in...
This is a lithograph stone of one of our downtown buildings. As we grew, the buildings got bigger and bigger.
As Lemire's company evolved, the chair remained a significant piece of memorabilia, always displayed prominently as a symbol of the business's history. Accompanying the chair is a lithograph stone of a downtown building with the name Lemire on a flag. This lithograph, used for printing, serves as a stunning piece of late 19th century advertising. The chair's craftsmanship and historical significance give it an auction estimate of...
I would put an auction estimate range of $10,000 to $20,000.
A charming small sculpture group believed to have been created by Anna Hyatt Huntington, a renowned American animal sculptor of the early 20th century. This phenomenal sculpture features two figures, a mother and a child, engaging in a tender interaction. It is thought to have been created in the 1920s using the lost wax technique, a method known for producing highly detailed and finely cast works. Its exquisite details and beautiful patina further enhance its appeal. This amazing sculpture originally came from the guest's father, whose house was broken up in 1983.
Who in your family got it?
Probably my father. We broke up his house in 1983.
Given its historical significance and artistic quality, the sculpture holds substantial value of,
I think in a gallery it would probably be in the $5,000 range.
Oh my goodness. Not a doorstop.
A pair of charming dolls were brought in, each with its own unique history. A boy doll made in the 1960s was crafted by the guest's mother, who worked at the Chase factory.
My mother worked at the Chase place, and she made this doll. She made all the toy dolls.
Oh, really?
And she told my son, John, that
She sewed the feet on the wrong side so her son would always recognize his doll. The Chase factory, originating in the 1880s in Pawtucket, produced oil-painted cloth dolls, including those for hospitals. Little Nell is part of a rare Charles Dickens set of 6 dolls. With her unique hairstyle, original clothes, and excellent condition, she stands out as a valuable piece.
Chase doll, made in the 1960s, actually the last of the Chase dolls, is probably in the $75 to $150 range. Of course, he's priceless because of the story about the legs.
While the boy doll, as one of the last Chase dolls, was valued reasonably, Little Nell holds a much higher value due to her rarity and condition, which is,
I would probably place her in the range of $2,000 to $3,000.
wow.
So you've got a great rare Chase doll made in the local area.
a stunning reverse crystal bracelet with a sporting motif and matching earrings was brought in. The bracelet features intricate carvings of a dog, a horse, and a fox, all meticulously detailed and backed with mother of pearl, which adds a subtle shine. Crystals are joined together with a strap and a snaffle bit, enhancing the overall sporting theme. This bracelet and earrings were gifted by the owner's father between 1946 and 1948.
Strap and the snaffle bit, which is a really great motif, so it's all in keeping with the actual piece.
Crystals, originally uncut for customization, formed a bracelet over 2.5 years, later complemented by matching earrings acquired 15 years ago.
See a little bit of the shine behind the actual crystal. That is mother of pearl. And then it's joined together with a stirrup strap and the snaffle bit, which is a really great motif, so it's all in keeping.
This set, crafted in 14-karat yellow gold, holds significant value today, having a retail value of,
Speak with my colleagues, and if this were in a retail arena, the bracelet with the matching pair of earrings set in 14-karat yellow gold would retail right around $3,500 in today's market. Yeah.
That's really wonderful.
a rare and valuable snuff flask from the late 18th to early 19th century was presented.
And riggery, and it belongs to a late 18th, early 19th century technique.
It features olive green glass with intricate white dots, known as nail sea glass. This incredible flask hails from the Storied Glass Works near Bristol, England. That flask features expert glass-blowing techniques called quilling and riggering, and is topped with a tin cover. This item, designed to be portable without a base, was likely kept in a pocket or saddlebag. It was inherited from the guest's sister-in-law's uncle, who owned an antique store. The unique and historical nature of the flask makes it a prized collectible. Flask was identified as a rare snuff mole, an item that frequently broke and is seldom seen today, valued at,
This is worth $2,000 to $2,500, and I would have it insured at $3,000.
Oh my goodness.
Now, what do you think of that?
I think that's awesome.
This New England card table has remarkable craftsmanship. The guest acquired it from a distant relative.
And went down to help clean out the house, and they offered to have him take something from the house for us to remember her by. And he brought home this table.
Well, how wonderful. Well,
It is linked to Langley Boardman, a cabinet maker from Portsmouth who trained in Salem and moved around that time. The table is classified as Sheraton due to its turned and reeded legs, and it is crafted from mahogany, a popular wood choice for furniture of the Federal period. This table also features distinctive flame birch veneer panels, which are often mistaken for satinwood. Another notable feature of this table is the rectangular veneer panels, which are
one reason why I want to attribute the table to Portsmouth instead of Salem is because of this rectangular panel. Often you find these panels in Portsmouth chests, and they're called a drop panel chest.
are commonly found in Portsmouth furniture, lending credence to its likely origin there. This exceptional combination of design and materials, coupled with its excellent condition, makes it a highly desirable piece that's worth.
And a table like this would bring $15,000 to $20,000.
Oh my goodness, I didn't realize that much.
Guest brought in a Tarzan book, which she found at an estate sale and bought because she liked the cover.
I have grandchildren, so I just picked it up on a whim.
When did you buy it?
It's an early edition, and she bought it in 2000. This book was published by McClurg, the first publisher of Tarzan books. It's a first edition of Tarzan the Untamed, published in 1920 by McClurg and Company. First editions with dust jackets are highly valuable to collectors.
We'll enjoy it. Well, what falls apart first? What goes away first? Sometimes what do people take off first?
Right.
This book is the 7th in the Tarzan series, out of 24. It's in good condition, with a few tiny nicks. Guest paid just $1 for it. Book's retail value is...
Retail value is $1,500.
Really?
Really.
Cute.
The guest brought a vase he purchased in Long Island, New York in 1975 for $800. It was identified as a Famille Noire example with a prunus pattern. Famille Noire vases were popular during the Kangxi period and were made in Jingdezhen, China. The vase has a mark indicating it was made during the Kangxi period, 1662 to 1722. However, it was not from the Kangxi period due to differences in decoration and painting style. The vase was likely a copy made around 1880, based on changes in scholarship since the 1980s. Despite not being an original Kangxi piece, the vase still had value. The appraiser's careful assessment revealed the vase's quiet elegance, its value being estimated at...
It's worth around $800 to $1,200, $1,000 to $1,500.
Okay, thank you.
This guest brought in an oil painting purchased by her husband at a thrift store.
Buying paintings at thrift stores just for the frames, and when we got this home we were looking at it and decided that we really liked it. So
the painting, titled Early Spring Verdugo Hills, was painted by Dana Bartlett, who was known for bright, lyrical California landscapes during his time.
California countryside, other than the landscape subjects, one of the signature characteristics of the plein air painters is a very heavy texture to the paint.
This oil painting exemplifies the hallmarks of plein air painting with its heavy texture known as impasto and vibrant colors, particularly the striking purple hues. The techniques used by Dana to paint this piece further proves his expertise in the world of art. Despite a slight issue with buckling and paint loss due to the stretcher bar, the painting remains in excellent condition, showcasing the artist's brilliant artistry, and at auction would sell for...
Be it worth at least $20,000, if not a little more. So you made a very good investment.
Wow.
Every artist has their approach to art, and this artist has a distinctive approach. This oil painting, The Young Heir, is a captivating piece, which reflects the style and sentiments of the late 19th century. This piece was painted by the renowned artist Adrien Marie, who was a famous painter and illustrator during his career. As seen, the painting depicts a young couple in a relaxed, informal pose, sharing a moment with their child. This scene embodies the contemporary life themes that artists of the time were increasingly exploring.
Time for artists to depict contemporary life. So here we see a young couple in a very casual pose, not at all like a formal portrait.
Marie, painted in a realistic style that sharply contrasts with the more casual and spontaneous techniques of his contemporaries. His approach was much more detailed and linear, making his work stand out for its precision and clarity. Also, the painting is complemented by its original frame, featuring a repetitive flower motif, adding to its aesthetic value that would sell for.
Flower motif here. I think today at auction it might be something like $7,000 to $10,000 or $8,000 to $12,000.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Guest bought this toy bus at a garage sale for $20. She bought it because of the Indian Motorcycle Company sticker. But the appraiser corrected her, saying this is a Buddy L toy. It's one of the most desirable Buddy L toys, the Buddy L bus. It was made in the late 1920s in Moline, Illinois. It's fabulous but a bit rough. It's missing wheels, but people do restore these. Even in this condition, it's worth more than $20.
It is worth a little more than $20. Easily $800 to $1,200 at auction.
Wow.
The guest brought a vase her family had owned since it was pulled up by her father while fishing in the Mediterranean Sea around 1960. The vase originally had more shell encrustations, some broken off over time. The guest had no idea of the vase's age, hoping it was at least 100 years old. It was revealed that the vase was actually 2,000 years old from the 1st century AD. It originated from Pompeii and is a table amphora, used for holding fish sauce during garum. The vase was likely being transported to Sicily for the fish sauce industry when it ended up at the bottom of the Mediterranean Sea. The vase was a beautiful work of art, with Mother Nature improving its appearance over time. In the 1960s through 1980s, similar vases would have sold for $200 to $300. But today, due to its great quality and the current decorating craze, it was appraised at
conceivably an auction could bring up to $2,000.
Wow. Wow. Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming.
Here's an Art Deco silhouette mannequin, which dates to the 1920s. These mannequins are characterized by their sleek, streamlined forms and stylized features, reflecting their geometric shapes and bold lines typical of Art Deco design. It has a flapper-style hair, and the arms akimbo is lovely. Often made from materials like plaster, wood, or early plastics, they capture the elegance and modernity of the period that would sell for
Auctions for the pair. I would estimate these at $1,500 to $2,500.
That's more than I would have thought.
The guest brought a Civil War sewing basket filled with trinkets. It had a stencil for a soldier in the 27th Ohio Volunteer Infantry. There were various small items in it like needles, thimbles, and measuring tapes. It also contained 2 bracelets with tiny type images of Union generals, Burnside and McClellan. Patriotic envelopes sent from home to soldiers in the field were also in this collection. These items showcased pieces from the home front and the front lines, highlighting the connection between soldiers and their loved ones during the Civil War. The majority of the value comes from the personal and historical significance of the items. Each Civil War relic, weaving together the stories of love, war, and legacy, were appraised at,
say the retail value on it would be about $2,000.
Very nice.
What we have here is a Chinese bronze brush rest. This guest purchased it at an estate sale in Florida.
Crazy about Chinese artwork and dragons in particular.
This is a fascinating piece that captivates not only due to its historical and cultural significance, but also for its intricate design. This particular brush rest features a dragon with a specific number of claws, identifying it as Z, a type of dragon with 3 or even 2 claws, distinct from the imperial 5-claw or 4-clawed dragons. This object is crafted to lie flat and serves a practical purpose, to hold a brush and prevent ink from staining the table. A valuable tool for Chinese scholars.
Original usage was, it was for holding a brush. For a brush to sit like that to keep the ink from staining the table. And it's a Chinese scholar's item. Chinese scholars, officials, used to consider the most precious objects to be ink sticks.
The brush rest dates back to the 18th century and is an authentic piece of Chinese artistry that's valued at.
But still, an object like this, a conservative estimate at auction, would be like $500 to $700. And I would expect it actually to sell for quite a bit more, because these objects are very, very popular, very desirable, an enormous amount of collectors for these things.
Our lucky guest was flying home from Europe on November 1st, 1974, on the same plane that Muhammad Ali had boarded. She, along with a lady, went to Muhammad Ali to get an autograph.
Fight, but he was smiling. And then he signed the newspaper that I'd brought along.
This was right after the Rumble in the Jungle, in which Ali defeated George Foreman. Ali saw the fight coverage in the newspaper and signed this page. A typical Muhammad Ali autograph can sell for around $100. However, this autograph has special value due to its unique story. Considering the provenance and context, it could sell for.
Put a value on this autograph at auction for between $500 and $700.
Well, wonderful.
This painted charger is a unique piece of art with a fascinating backstory. Quite fascinating, this piece was painted by Ruby, an elephant who lived at the Phoenix Zoo and became famous for her painting abilities.
Who was the painting pachyderm. She resided at the Phoenix Zoo in Phoenix, Arizona.
This particular charger, a large decorative plate, features a painting created by Ruby.
Arizona State University School of Art.
It's a very fun piece of pachyderm art, as you said.
The art is characterized by bold, colorful strokes, showcasing her distinctive style. Ruby used her trunk to hold the brush, resulting in abstract patterns and vibrant compositions that are both whimsical and expressive. However, this charger is a piece of art history, representing the intersection of animal behavior and creativity that's worth.
Advise you on an insurance value, I would put an estimate of $1,500 on it.
That's wonderful.
Purchasing antiques can be very tricky, and some deals are too good to be true. The guest purchased these bronze sculptures at an auction for $2,500.
Where did you purchase them from?
At an auction.
All in the same auction?
All in the same auction.
Of the 4 bronze sculptures, 3 were made supposedly by Charles Marion Russell, and the 4th was sculpted by Frederick Sackrider Remington. Unfortunately for this guest, none of the sculptures proved to be originals from these American artists. The sculpture attributed to Remington is mounted on marble and bears a plaque, which is unlikely to be Remington's work. The Russell bronzes were crafted very delicately to fool buyers.
Quite as good as the examples that we have documented of Russell's work. Each of these artists with Fred.
All the sculptures presented are not original and were made sometime after the deaths of these iconic artists. Although not originating from the artist, the Savage replica is a fine piece valued at
auction is maybe worth $300 or $400.
2 of the small Remington sculptures are both estimated to be worth
hundreds, if not thousands, of examples out there of the later casting.
The cowboy sculpture, a depiction of the old Western tradition, is valued at.
And they're bringing between about $300 and $500 at auction.
Yeah.
Coincidentally, this guest and her parents were staying at a hotel in England where.
So where were you August in 1963?
My family was in Bournemouth, England, and we were lucky enough to be staying in the same hotel as the Beatles. I was 5 years old at the time.
The Beatles were also staying, and she got a signed autograph from the band. The Beatles were an English rock band formed in Liverpool in 1960. They are regarded as the most influential band of all time and were integral to the development of the 1960s counterculture and the recognition of pop music as an art form. The manuscript contains the signatures of 3 of the band members.
Really strong and bold. This wonderful George Harrison, and then the Ringo has these 2 little kisses after it.
As one of the 4 artists was absent that day. This manuscript, bearing the signatures of these icons in the history of musical arts, is estimated to be worth.
In an auction setting, we would put a value on this of $3,000 to $5,000.
Wow.
Guest received this doll from her mother, who received it as a Christmas gift in 1934. She never allowed her to play with it, only permitting her to see it once or twice a year. It's described as mint in box, meaning it's pristine, untouched, and is in remarkable condition. The doll still retains its original curls and pin. A silk label confirms its authenticity as a Shirley Temple doll. Only idol dolls carry the true Shirley Temple name. Original price on the box was $4.79, and today its value is.
It would sell between $500 and $650.
The guest brought a collection of jewelry she had been collecting since she was a little girl. The appraiser admired her collection, which included 2 Miriam Haskell necklace and earring sets from the 1940s and 1950s. Miriam Haskell was an American designer of costume jewelry. There was a Trifari pin designed by Alfred Philippe, which was estimated to be worth over $1,000. There was also a multicolored piece the guest had purchased at an estate sale for $25. The piece was revealed to be Austro-Hungarian, made in the early 1900s, and featured genuine rubies, amethysts, pearls, and enameling. The guest's collection was impressive, and she had a good eye for valuable pieces. Each set was estimated to be worth at
$500.
$2,500.
Wow. Wow. Well, that's very nice.
You were a major shopper, kid.
I love it.
Take a good look at this delightful sword. It is a Revolutionary War sword from around 1770. The blade is made of high carbon steel, typical of the period, showcasing a slightly curved design, which was favored for its versatility in both cutting and thrusting. The hilt of the sword features a handguard crafted from brass or iron, designed to protect the wielder's hand during combat. The grip is wrapped in ray skin, providing a firm hold, and is often accented with wire for additional grip and aesthetic appeal.
On the outside of the guard. Right. That's because it was a necessity that they get these swords into service.
However, this sword represents a piece of American history that reflects the period's military technology and the tales of the Revolutionary War that's worth.
So the value is down. There was a time this same sword would have brought $6,500.
This World War I snakebite kit is a compact and essential piece of medical equipment. Enclosed in a small, sturdy metal case, this kit is designed for easy portability and immediate access. Inside, you'll find a scalpel or lancet used to make an incision at the bite site. Also, a suction device, often a glass syringe, is included to apply suction to the bite site to extract venom. However, this kit represents a piece of medical history used by soldiers during the war and is valued at
Worth about $100.
I don't know that.
No? Isn't that great?
This painting was inherited by the guest's father from his great-uncle, who was a missionary in China from 1922 into the 1950s. This is a Chinese export painting dating back to the mid-19th century. Export paintings have distinct physical characteristics that identify their origin. This painting features a series of trading ships and brown structures. The frame attached to this painting is not the original. Looking around the edge, you can see a line which indicates the picture came in a smaller frame and the original would have been black lacquered with a gold trim around the edge. Such beautiful export painting, featuring flags and a series of Western trading ships, would be worth at auction.
Well, I think at auction, you could expect to get somewhere between $30,000 and $40,000 for this picture.
On today's show, we are presented with an early American cooking vessel. The guest bought this at an estate sale and paid $75 for it. This item looks somewhat like an ordinary cooking vessel on 3 legs, cast in bronze, and was made by John Taylor, who had a foundry in Richmond, Virginia. Dating back to the 1790s, this piece is original and is a rare find. This kind of pot is called a posnet, an early English term for pot. Interestingly, items of this sort were used during the colonial Revolutionary War to melt lead for making bullets. This bronze pot, featuring its original cast and capable of withstanding significant heat, has a price value of
neighborhood between $10,000 and $15,000.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
A beautiful vase made its way to the show today. The guest bought it at an estate sale for under $50. Although the guest's husband tried to stop her from displaying it because he thinks it's an ugly item. This vase was made in Japan and dates back to the 19th century. It features vibrant colors and intricate designs, also a shiny glass surface buffed to achieve a polished jewel-like finish, which is common for Japanese Museum cloisonné vases. If this item didn't have a hole, it could have been much more valuable. We are left to wonder how much this beautiful vase with a polished, jewel-like transparent surface would sell for at auction. This item originally belonged to the guest's father, and after his passing, her mother kept it for some time before eventually passing it on to her. The appraiser explained that these were elaborate herbals, which were typically created for university libraries, significant private collections, amateur botanists, and physicians. This particular herbal was notable because it was created by Elizabeth Blackwell, the wife of a physician to the King of Sweden. Elizabeth Blackwell had a keen interest in medical botany and was an accomplished artist, resulting in this botanical book. The book, published in Nuremberg in 1757, featured text in both German and Latin. The appraiser highlighted the hand coloring and gilt lettering, a common method for producing fine illustrated books in the 18th century. Upon examining internal pages, the guest identified plants such as poppy and cucumber, which were depicted through copper plate engravings that were carefully hand-colored. Despite the book's significant condition issues, the appraiser recommended having it rebound and the pages resewn, which would cost a few $100s. Owing to its importance and the quality of its botanical illustrations from the 18th century, in its current state, the book was valued between
in this present condition, I would still say it was worth somewhere in the range of $10,000 to $15,000.
Are you serious?
Yeah. It's a very important botanical book.
Wow.